Now listen to me, little boy.
Yes, Mom.
When you go inside this schoolyard, listen, you better keep your distance.
Yes, Mom.
Socially distance yourself away from
How
everybody.
am I supposed to hear my friends then?
No high-fiving, no hugging, no breathing, anybody stink breathing. No playing games with anyone, unless it's parking.
I don't play basketball, Mom.
I say parking. Now, if you got any friends from Freeport, they can say parking. You can't play parking
I
either.
don't play no parking, man.
Basketball. You can't play no basketball. Parking.
Man.
And eat the food that's in your bag, okay?
No, Mommy, I don't want that cheddar cheese sandwich. That tastes so bad. And lunchtime, that just tastes so different. Ain't nobody want that. My friends just don't even want that.
Don't tell me that cheddar cheese sandwich tastes bad. If you eat it on time, it wouldn't taste as bad. Your friends wish they had cheddar cheese sandwich. That's your problem. You're too worried with friends and too worried with company. Company is your downfall.
Yes, Mom.
I can tell you one more thing, little boy. Don't come back here with no COVID.
Mommy, how are you supposed to stop myself from catching?
I say, don't come back here with no COVID. You hear me?
Yes, Mom.
I ain't about to be sitting up in no hospital with
How
you.
are you supposed to do that?
I don't care how you gonna do it. You better don't do it. Don't catch no cough. Don't catch the flu. Don't catch nothing. Don't even get cut. If you bleed, you better keep it your way. Don't let me see it because you can bleed again.
And you don't even have no AC inside. You're sweating.
You get the audacity to talk about I ain't got no AC on in here. You have any AC money? You have any gas money? No, right? Go inside that school right now.
Mommy, but that didn't fail. This didn't even fail.
Life is not fair. And if you have a problem with it, take it up with your daddy.
I don't know my daddy.
Exactly. You don't have no daddy. You only have me. Get out this car right now. Get out this car. Have a good day. You don't get your lunch money.
Yes, Mom.
Hi, I'm Erlene Camille, and you're watching Eliot Kelly TV.
We are sometimes afraid to make a bold step, but after we made that bold step, we'd be like, so what's going to happen next? And it was literally, God said to me, will you journey with me into the unknown? That was the question that I was asked before I actually left my job. And I said, yes.
Welcome to another dynamic episode of Eliot Kelly TV. Today I have with me one of my friends, one of my sisters from the Bahamas, making me think of home. Welcome, Ria Christina, to Eliot Kelly TV.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Our topic today is how to be an overcomer. But before we dive into this deep discussion on tricks and tips on how you can become an overcomer, I'm sure Ria is going to share with us. Go ahead and smash that share button, that subscribe button, and make sure you hit that notification bell. You know how we do it. Once you hit the notification bell, you will be advised when we drop new content. Ria, welcome again. Share your story with our audience.
Well, thank you so much again, Eliot, for having me. So just a little backdrop about my story. I would have started out as a little girl, seeing my mom. My dad actually died when I was at the age of 13. And that there was a shock. It was a shock not only to me, well, you know, daddy's little girl. It was a shock to me, but it was also a shock to the family. And having to have that impact at such a young age, it has caused me to start to see the world a little bit differently. I saw my mother before my dad died. She went through a whole period of between going back and forth to the hospital and having to pick up the pennies off the side of the street just to make sure that my brothers and I were able to have food to eat. And I strongly believe that was probably one of the turning points in my life where I actually saw the hustle really come forward out of my mom in the midst of what was a difficult time. And having to fast forward even back into earlier adulthood and being able to see, you know, the hustle didn't stop with my mom. But one of the things for her, when I came out of high school, she said, you know something, Ria, your dad left you in private school and that's where I want to keep you, right? So she did what she had to do to keep me in private school. But I knew that I would have had to do some things for myself. So I went into banking, was in banking for quite some time. And eventually it got to the point where life happened, right? And as life happened in terms of eventually I went through a divorce And having going through a divorce and being in banking for so many years, eventually I got to the point and I'm like, something has to shift, something has to break. And I remember having the conversation with my boss at the time, and I said, something, I'm going to resign. I'm going to do it. And they're like, but this isn't like the right time, like when is the right time? And, many persons may ask, when is the right time that you actually leave a job? But I left my job in the middle of a divorce process. And it wasn't easy. No, it wasn't easy, but I knew that it was necessary in order for me to get where it was that I needed to go. So I made that transition into having to work for myself, doing my own thing, managing my own time. And I will tell you, having to overcome that or make that one step has allowed so many doors of opportunity to actually open up for me since I would have done that. We are sometimes afraid to make a bold step, but after we made that bold step, we'd be like, so what's going to happen next? And it was literally, God said to me, will you journey with me into the unknown? That was the question that I was asked before I actually left my job. And I said, yes, I will journey with you into the unknown. Shaking and trembling, I went ahead, and I would say it's safe enough to say the rest is history. I'm totally enjoying it. I do not regret the decision that I would have made in order for me to leave my job to do what it is that I'm doing now. That in a nutshell, I think would be the synopsis of a compacted story.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ria, for sharing. You're now a wealth creation strategist. What does that mean for our audience, and what does that mean for your clients?
A wealth creation strategist, Eliot, listen, that's such a loaded question, right? I strongly believe that we all were created wealthy. And there's so many of us, we walk around, I'm looking for an idea, I'm struggling to do this, or I don't know what to do, I don't know how to make this extra money. But if we really take the time to look within, all of us, we were locked and loaded with a lot of gifts and talents that God has actually given to us. And it's really just a matter of us having to tap into it. So as a wealth creation strategist, is really having to have the conversation with clients to say, something, did you think about this? Have you identified your strengths? And these are some simple questions that you need, but I have with clients just to get an understanding of what is it that they can actually do. As a matter of fact, I actually just challenged a few ladies that I'm working with, and I said to them, I said, listen, I need you to come up with 8 different streams of income for me. And of course, they were all screaming like, oh my God, 8, like, how is it possible? I can't even think of one. And I'm like, no, it is possible. I just need you to take your time and actually think about it. And I will tell you, not too long thereafter, I had a few of them that actually said to me, something, Ria, I actually have 8. And I didn't even realize it. So it's really having to have the conversation, challenge people where they need to be challenged, because sometimes all of us have blind spots. And if we do not receive the challenge, or if we do not challenge some people probably stay in their comfort zones and think, oh me, oh my, I do not have anything else that I can do, and I'm sitting here and I'm suffering.
What does success mean for you, Ria?
That's a good question, right? So success for me, a lot of times when we think about success, a lot of people equate success in terms of the amount of money that you actually have in a bank account, if you have how many houses, you have cars and all these sorts of things. But success for me, it means a lot of things, right? One of the other day, my daughter, because she's in homeschool now because of the whole COVID protocols and things like that. I overheard her in the class, and this is an entrepreneurship class, and the question was asked, why is it that you joined, or you figured that you wanted to be a part of this entrepreneurship class? And she said, because my mom is an entrepreneur. So for me, that was a very proud moment. It's nothing like having to go through the process and have your kids a part of the process, because she believes that, Mommy, you taught me how to be a great salesperson. I can sell your books for you, and I can do this, and I can convince clients when it was time to sell jewelry. She was doing it all. So she was exposed to it from a young age. So for me, being able to hear her confidently say, this is why I want to do this, this is why I want to be a part of this, is because I would have seen my mom doing it, and I was a part of her experience as well. The other thing that speaks to success for me is being able to have the flexibility and the freedom to really be me and enjoy life. While I have a chance, allow me to enjoy my life. And that there is success. Being able to have that flexibility, that freedom, being able to spend time with my family when I want to spend time with my family, not being boxed in, that there is success for me.
Thank you, Ria. Interesting conversation I had. We just had a gentleman on from France, Mr. Lucas Canada, and we were just talking about a similar talk line. Basically, the goal is freedom. The goal is not just money. The goal is being able to give back to my community. The goal is being able to give to a charity, to help someone without looking for anything in return, was what we were sharing. And that is such a fulfilling thing. It's not just this esoteric thing. It's a real tangible feeling for me. I can feel it. I get overwhelmed. I'm a crier. Ria, I don't know.
Really?
I don't know if you're an emotional person as well, but when I'm able to give back to someone, you and I and other coaches we share with, we work with some really vulnerable people. They trust us not only with their lives, they trust us with their children's lives. I have clients now I'm dealing with the mother, the grandmother, and the granddaughter. It gets complicated where you have to keep information at different tiers in one family. With information that involves all three persons. So like you say,
tricky.
And when it comes to money, especially as Bahamians or anyone, money is a very personal subject. Yes. Whether you're spending it or you're earning it, it becomes a very, very personal subject. So thank you for sharing that vulnerability between your daughter and yourself, her emulating you. I think that's very important as we speak about how to become an overcomer. Understanding that role models are an important part of that process. Is there anyone else or anything else that inspires you, that motivates you?
I started off in giving my story in talking about my mom. I've seen, because I would have seen it from such an early age, I'm like, wow, that hustle that she actually had from when I was a little girl growing up, she still has the hustle. As a matter of fact, my mom, she has a green thumb, and she's still at it. So the opportunities, they exist all around us, and just having to see that she is still finding, okay, what else can I do? And how can I go ahead and monetize this? She's still, mind you, she's up in age, but she's still thinking along the lines of, how can I monetize this? How can I do that? How can you help me do this? So that there, it keeps me going. Because she's going, she's like, okay, Ria, I need to do this. And I'm helping her. So that's the thing that actually helps to keep me going as well. Thank you.
What's the greatest challenge for your clients? What's the common denominator as far as issues, problems that they're faced with?
So the common trend line is actually limiting beliefs. That there is, it underlies a whole lot of things. So it shows up in the way of people being afraid to ask for what they want, meaning, or even asking for what they deserve. Them being limited and thinking that, something, I can only have a business that functions in this capacity. I can only have, even with the example of the women that I was dealing with, the group of women, they're thinking, well, something, I only have one stream of income. I have a job. That's the only thing that I can do. That's the only thing that I'm good for. Or even having to think, something, well, I only went to school to learn this one particular thing. So I have to only focus on this particular area. Or even having the belief to say, well, something, I'm not an expert. I do not have anything that I can teach anybody. So we see the limiting beliefs actually showing up in all of these different areas. And it's definitely the conversation that pretty much comes up in every single conversation, having to address the limiting belief, having to address the way how they see themselves so that they can actually put their best foot forward in the world.
Thank you. What would you recommend or 3 steps or 3 tips that you'd recommend to a person who is struggling with that low morale or low self-esteem or low confidence level?
So 3 things that I probably would suggest would be, first of all, you need to embrace your authenticity, right? Be true to who it is that you are. Don't try to exert so much energy in trying to be someone else. There's so much that's going on around with a lot of influences and a lot of people doing a whole lot of stuff. Social media, sometimes it can become overwhelming because we're seeing a whole lot of stuff that's happening. So I would encourage persons to embrace who it is that they are, their authentic self. The other thing is I would want to encourage them to, in the space where you may probably be working at home, right? For me, particularly, I do work from home, and having to work from home, my daughter being at home, try and find the creative ways that you can still intertwine your family time. So what does that look like? If you're take lunch the same time that your kid is probably taking lunch, that incorporates the family time. We do a workout session in the mornings. She's a part of that workout session, so we're doing our workout session in the mornings. When it comes to me having to probably take breaks, I'll take a break and go probably watch a television show or something that she loves to watch television and eat at the same time. So I've tried to incorporate that. So the other thing would be find the best way, if you do have children or family members that's around you, still be able to incorporate some time with your family members while you're still working, because there still has to be that happy balance. All right. And the other thing is just knowing that you are authorized, and I'm going to say it like that. You're authorized to really be you, and step into the fullness of what that looks like. Own it. I saw a sign when I was traveling the other day, and it was a while back, but it actually says the world is your platform. And I strongly believe that. So for the person that just for a small snippet of time, I think that, something, I know that there is more. Understand that the world is your platform. Don't limit yourself just to your location as to where you are, where you reside. That's not just it. See the world for what it is. The internet has brought the world to our fingertips. So maximize the opportunities that it presents itself there as well.
Thank you. So many great nuggets there. One of your specialties, one of your specialisms is working and helping persons with disc profiling. How can the disc profile assist persons as it relates to their personal life, and a few examples in their business life as well?
Okay, so the disc profiling, it's really all about awareness. A whole lot of people, when you think about it, they're not aware. They're not aware. You may think that they are aware of who it is that they are, and what the disc actually helps with. It helps you in understanding how it is that you relate to the problems around you. How is it that you relate to people? How is it that you relate to processes as well as pace? So what that looks like in a business sense would be, okay, so when you come to having to deal with someone who is a D, that's someone who's a decision maker. How would you address someone who is a decision maker? They are there and they're just saying, something, I need this 1, 2, 3, and we
yesterday.
Get on it. They're not concerned about whether or not any feelings are going to get hurt. They're not concerned about the people. But if you're the I, you're concerned about the people. You're concerned about how it is that they probably internalize it. Let's look at it, even if we were to liken it to, I'm hoping that most of the viewers would have traveled at some point in time. So you have the D, who is the pilot. The pilot in that plane, they focus on getting you to that destination. Then you have the flight attendant. The flight attendant is the one who's making sure, hey, is everything okay? Making sure you're comfortable. Do you need me to fluff this pillow for you? Then you have the S, that's the ground crew, making sure that, listen, you're gonna bring this plane in right. They're just supporting you. That's your support system. And then you have the air traffic controller, who is the person who is more concerned about, can you land this plane right now? Is the airway clear? Are those processes, are those procedures, are you following the document to the letter? That's how you would apply that in a business sense. And once you get an understanding, I tell people, something, to have an ideal team, it would be good to have the D, the I, the S, and the C all in there, because you have the different perspectives. And once you have the different perspectives, you are in a better position to make holistic decisions, not just for your business, even for your family, because I'll tell you, I actually had my children actually take the DISC assessment test as well, because I need to understand their personalities. I need to understand how to effectively communicate with them. So it helps with communication as well. I understand what it is that makes my daughter tick. I understand what it makes my son tick. So, you know, the assessment itself, it helps not just in life, it helps you with your business. It's in so many different areas that you can actually benefit once you are aware as to the strengths, the weaknesses, how it is that you can actually apply it, and even how it is that you can effectively communicate one with another.
Thank you. You mentioned your daughter earlier, so we're going to give a shout out to her. Is there anyone else you want to give a shout out to today, Ria?
I'm going to shout out my son. I'll shout out my son. Believe it or not, my son is, wow. My son is, I have a 20-year-old, soon to be 21, and my daughter is 15. So I want to shout them out because at the end of the day, you know, what it is that I'm doing, it's all about me having to build a legacy. It's not just about me, the work that it is that I'm doing, it's really helping them, and just being able to see that a lot of the work that I've been doing, they've been a part of it, and they've also been observing a whole lot, and they've now been able to come and say, Mommy, I understand. My son now has a job and he's like, Mommy, I understand all it is that you've been teaching me about money, what to do, how to do it, how to apply it. And now I see what you were saying. It's one thing when you had, you know, Mommy saying, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm doing that. But when you're in that position that you have to pay your own bills for yourself, it's a different story. So yeah, definitely want to shout them out. My son, Earl Jr., and my daughter, Ramaya.
Thank you. What are you most passionate about at the moment as far as project-wise, Ria?
What I am most passionate about right now is actually helping women. Helping women to actually unlock the income potential of their side hustle. And the reason why that's near and dear to me is because a whole lot of women, particularly there are a whole lot of divorced women or persons who are going through divorce that feel as though it's the end. It really isn't the end. And not to say that I'm encouraging people or telling people to go ahead and get a divorce. That's not what my message is. But there are times when people are in that rough space and they need a support system. They need somebody that can understand exactly where it is that they are. They need someone who understands the struggles and the challenges and a lot of the questions that may even come up. How do I navigate this? How do I deal with some of the financial challenges? What do I do? How do I position myself even to be able to feed my children? The real questions. And a lot of people I've found have become silent. They've been suffering in silence. So for me, my thrust and my passion right now is really having to reach out to those persons who are finding themselves in that place where they're suffering in silence, and they need to have that person that they can actually talk to, that coach that actually says, you know something, I understand this place. This is what I did to get myself unstuck. This is what I did to overcome. This is what I did to get myself to the next level, because I will tell you, things have been moving in the right direction for me. And there are some things that I would have learned along the way. It's all about learning. It's all about journey. It's all about going through the process and being able to share some of those successes, some of those wins with some other persons who may be out there. And it's not just divorced women, but of course, right now, it's one of those things that I'm passionate about in this moment, having to deal with the divorced women. I have a whole lot of other women who are not divorced. They are happily married, and they still just need the help with trying to unlock their side hustle income.
Thank you. Picture yourself. This is the imagery. You're sat in the departure lounge. I like to play games. You're sat in the departure lounge, and you've met one of these ladies who you just described. You only have about a few more minutes before, obviously, you go and board your flight. What's your message of encouragement to that young lady as she's going through this really tough window, this really tough time?
Listen, my message to them is, listen, at this particular point, I know that you are in a difficult spot. I know that it's hard. I know you probably may have cried yourself to sleep at night, but guess what? It's time for you to get up. It's time for you to get moving. It's time for you to really embrace and step into the fullness of who it is that God has called for you to be. No, this is not the end. This is just the beginning. Embrace it, grab a hold of it, and let's move forward together.
Thank you. Thank you. What a powerful, extremely powerful message. Ria, how can our audience get in contact with you?
Well, definitely they can reach out to me on social media. That's _Ria Christina. You can find me on Instagram as well as Facebook. You can find me there as well. So _ Ria Christina, you'll find me on Instagram, and on Facebook, my Facebook business page is Coach Ria Christina.
Great. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that share button. You know how we do it here on Eliot Kelly TV. We do have a quote. The quote is by Warren Buffett himself. The happiest people do not necessarily have the best things. They simply appreciate the things that they have. And that's by Mr. Warren Buffett. We were actually discovering how to become an overcomer with Ria Christina here on Eliot Kelly TV. Thank you so much. Never lose your passion.